Aubrey. What's there to say that hasn't already been said? She's a fan favourite in the community, that's for sure, obviously due to her compelling character arc, kick-ass attitude, and unique design. Her design being the only one that has a deeper meaning when given the heartbreaking context. However, I feel like there's much more to dig into regarding her character that not many people have done before. Unlike Kel, where there wasn't too much to say on this Headspace part, Dream Aubrey is a very interesting character, especially when we contrast her with her real self, and both of their feelings towards Sunny and OMORI. This is going to be a weird topic to talk about, so I hope you keep an open mind as we analyse the character of Aubrey. Reality hidden in romanticization. Before we begin, let's just get one thing out of the way. Dream Aubrey is a poorly written character. Now, don't get me wrong, this was definitely an intentional move from OMOCAT, and it's important to establish this fact before we move on, because the reason Dream Aubrey is all over the place compared to the other Headspace characters is because Sunny clearly has a crush on her, but more on that later. She is comprised of 3 core components to what makes her character. She's emotional, hates Kel, and she is capable of holding her own ground. Now, 2 of these 3 factors are inconsistent and forgotten about throughout the game, the only outlier being her very open and emotional nature. For starters, why does she hate Kel? It makes no sense. No, I'm not saying that because he's my favourite character, I'm saying it because it doesn't make sense from the perspective of the real group, especially from Kel and Aubrey themselves. When they were kids, they bickered a lot, sure, but they always made it a point to resolve whatever conflict they had. There was even a real-life picnic scene that explains this.
Hey, Aubrey! What do you want, Kel? I've been thinking. We get into fights all the time, huh? Yeah, we do. But even after everything, we're still friends, right? Yeah. I guess we are. Huh. Isn't that weird? Maybe. I don't know. Oh, you two. That just means you two are really comfortable around each other. I'm a little jealous you two could be so candid, even after all the time. I think that's something really special. Really? I was just about to say that I find it kind of annoying. You're such an idiot.
I mean, if she really hated Kel, why would she be so hurt about him abandoning her when Mary died? The reason why I didn't put this in the Kel review is simple. His Headspace version actually aligns with his real self. Why? Because he's actually nice to Aubrey. Not all the time, but definitely on many occasions. Not once in this game is Dream Aubrey nice to Kel. An example from the top of my head would be in the Deep Sea Hotel, where Kel helps Aubrey calm down, but she completely ignores him and sings her praises to OMORI. It's Aubrey!
Hello? Please hold. Hello? Please hold. Hello? Please hold. Aubrey, we're here to break you out. Dang it, Kel, go away. Can't you see I'm busy? Snap out of it, Aubrey. This isn't who you are. You know 3 people canceled their meetings today? 3 people! I'm supposed to reschedule them, but I don't even know how that's going to fit with all these useless events planned. Not to mention we have the fundraiser tonight. And of all things, it's a tofu fundraiser. Who in the right mind would pay clams for tofu? I tried telling the boss so many times, but he just won't listen. This is a complete nightmare. Oh my god. Okay, Aubrey, I'm gonna need you to breathe. I'm breathing, Kel. I'm breathing just fine. Deep breaths, Aubrey. Deep breaths. Do you feel patronized yet? Who? He. Who? He. You are not a secretary. Basil is missing, and we need to find him. Oh my goodness, that's right! How could I forget? We need to find Basil! Oh, Omori, is that you? Ah, you must be here to save me. I'm so happy.
Hey, wait, what about me?
Omori, you have to get me out!
Which brings me on to my next point. Dream Aubrey is said to be all strong, stubborn and sturdy, but we never actually see it. Well, sure, we see that she's capable. Her power in the overworld is knocking away massive roadblocks, but there are more occasions where she acts helpless and weak than not. It's obvious why she acts like this. It's for OMORI to help her out and, as a reward, get praise from his crush. And it really shows how toxic a person OMORI is. He wants Aubrey to rely on him constantly, even though he knows full well that she doesn't need him. Codependency is the word of the day, kids. And it's not healthy to think like this. I guess that it can be forgiven since being a hikikomori probably stunted his emotional growth. But I don't know, man. I think any person around 16 years old should know better than to fantasize over unhealthy relationships. But what do I know? I'm not a therapist. And an online BuzzFeed quiz won't change that. I do have a few ideas for why he romanticizes Aubrey like this. Maybe something to do with the fact that the death of Mary wanted him to be a reliable, tough man, so the same thing wouldn't happen to Aubrey. As you can tell, I honestly can't come up with anything that makes real sense. But I would like to hear some of your theories in the comments. Okay, last thing before we move on to the real Aubrey, because I feel like this is worth mentioning. I want to preface that I haven't played the hikikomori route, and I only refer to the main story of the game to keep these videos under 10 hours. But the love letter scene is a great example for Dream Aubrey's inconsistent personalities. Granted, this is a dream sequence for OMORI, but the whole of Headspace is a dream sequence, so I'm counting it. This scene is about Aubrey's fighting Aubrey's over OMORI's affection. And at face value, it's just a funny scene that doesn't pertain much to Dream Aubrey's character. However, this does tell us about OMORI's want to be protected by Aubrey. Which is weird because around her, he also wants to be seen as tough and strong. If anything, the inconsistencies of Dream Aubrey says a lot more about Sunny and OMORI than Aubrey herself. She essentially facilitates affection because of how emotionally and romantically inept OMORI is, as well as demonstrating how indecisive he became after losing such a solid foundation in his life, that being Mary. Now on the other hand, he is a well-written character. Aubrey in the real world is definitely the most important plot device for Sunny's character arc, and our own ego as the player. The perfect way to describe her is a wake-up call. Aubrey is the first and only person we meet that is outwardly different from her respective Headspace counterpart. She's rude, unapologetic, and a bully. All of these factors we come to realise when we see her picking on Basil for the first time. Her design is also very interesting. The pink hair, teal contacts and bow in any other given context would be considered cute and charming, but the nail-ridden baseball bat she sports, coupled with the punk attitude, makes her design all the more uninviting and sharp. She looks like a character ripped straight out of Headspace, which makes it all the more shocking when she doesn't respond too kindly to Sunny, who is clearly a sucker for this aesthetic. But all of this isn't why I consider her to be a wake-up call. It's more to do with how she acts within the narrative. Or rather, independent from the narrative. Think about it. Throughout our time in the real world, we see her hanging with the hooligans, having fun and trying to live her life like she does every day. She never once approaches us. It's actually the opposite. We seem to be chasing her down every moment we get, going as far as to interrogate her friends for her whereabouts. For Kel and Hero, we never get an insight on how they moved on from Mary's death, apart from a few dialogue strings, since they're glued to Sunny as soon as we meet them. Hell, even Basil isn't seen doing much outside of being bullied by Aubrey, so apart from Polly, we don't get to know outwardly how he dealt with everything either. Seeing Aubrey and her friends in these settings are integral to the real life segments, as it teaches the player and Sunny one thing: the world doesn't revolve around us. In Headspace, we're pampered by the party members so much, our egos dictate that the same type of treatment should be carried into the real world segments. But Aubrey's the first and only one to tell us that's not the case. There's so much a one-sided friendship can accomplish, and eventually, she had to move on and find people who could build her up. She also calls us out on carrying a knife, and she's the one to reveal Mary's death. The former showing us how delusional we have become as a player, and the latter shedding light on how depressing reality is for Sunny. And yeah, I know, into the comments of, "She had a baseball bat with nails in, why is she complaining about a knife?" But no matter which way you cut it, pun intended, she's completely in the right here. Hypocrisy doesn't make someone wrong, it just makes them self-important. Aubrey's constant clashing with the narrative and characters is all the more compelling when you delve deeper into her personal life. Her dad is absent, the people at church seem to badmouth her on a regular basis, the dialogue after the church fight suggests this. Her house is unclean, the only hint of light being that of a static television, which her mum is glued to like a moth. Most likely a coping mechanism of some sort, possibly stemming from domestic abuse by the father. But this is all speculation, of course. What we do know for a fact is that her only real foundation in life was her friend group, and after Mary's death, everyone left her in the dust. She probably would have done the same if she had anyone to turn to, but she doesn't have a sibling like Hero and Kel, or even a parental figure like Sunny and Basil. Speaking of Basil, he seemed to be the only one who stuck around, probably out of paranoia to not look suspicious. But that whole friendship was thrown away when he started to scribble out Mary's face in the photo album. Imagine that. The friend you knew since the beginning, erasing the one person you're trying to make peace with. At the very least, she eventually met someone who meant everything to her. In conclusion, Aubrey is definitely the most tragic character out of the group, simply because of external factors outside of Mary's death. Judging by how Aubrey is perceived in Headspace, I feel like the group was completely left out of the blue when it came to her abysmal living conditions. In spite of years coping alone, she eventually found solace when she reunited with Kel, Hero, and Sunny. I loved the picnic scenes where she slowly comes to terms with everything and learns to forgive the main gang for abandoning her. Aubrey teaches us that you don't need a knight in shining armor to shield you, or revenge on those who have wronged you. Sometimes the best remedy for trauma is a group hug. And obviously therapy. Lots of it. I've been Rick Nick, and this was a character analysis on Aubrey. Reality hidden in Romanticization. I'll see you later.